I'm Ashley Sanford. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist, and I'm also mom to an adorable 5-month-old baby boy. And I'm here today to talk to you about parenting stress. This is probably a topic you are very familiar with, and chances are, if you're watching this, you've probably already Googled a whole bunch of things about how to manage stress as a parent, how to help your kids manage their stress. And those are the two questions I get the most as a psychologist about parenting stress these days. So we're going to dig into that. I'm going to give you, for each of those questions, we're going to focus on both big picture ideas and some practical tips, and I'll give you two of each, okay, for both of those questions. Okay, it gives you a little outline for where we're going to go today. First, we're going to talk a little bit about parenting stress and stress in general, just to get us digging into this. So you're probably aware that stress affects you mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. It's why your hair's falling out. It's why, you don't have as much energy. It's probably why you're having nightmares and can't sleep. It's why it's hard to pray sometimes too. Okay. What we also know is that there are two things that predict levels of stress for anybody in any situation. It is how much control we have in the situation and how predictable the situation is. Okay. And with this pandemic, guess what? Absolutely. We have very minimal control and we have very minimal abilities to predict what's going to happen. So that leaves us saying, yeah, it makes sense why so many people are experiencing, just record levels of stress these days. And I want to assure you, and I will say this as many times as I have to, the stress you're experiencing right now is unrelated to your quality as a parent. Okay? I'm going to say that again. How stressed you are is not an indicator of how good a parent you are. I don't care if you are the best parent in the whole world, whoever that is, whatever that means, you're still going to be stressed. Nobody gets through parenting without stress. So don't worry if you're feeling stressed. It does not mean you're doing it wrong. It does not mean you're not strong enough as a person, as a parent. It does not mean that you are weak. It means that this is a situation and it has characteristics that make it hard to prepare for things. It makes us hard to feel like we have a sense of self-efficacy, that we can really make a difference in our own lives. So that control, that predictability, we don't have that, right? Like I just talked about. And so we can say, yeah, you can be a good parent and still stressed because it's not you. It's the situation, okay? But of course, there are things you can do to help manage that stress, okay? We're not going to try to make it go away completely. That's unrealistic. What we're going to do is talk about ways to think about the situation differently, to think about you, to think about what's going on a little bit differently, and give you some practical ways to listen to your emotions, to use that as information, and then to make a few just little different choices in your everyday life that hopefully might make a little bit more ease and comfort come to your everyday. Okay, but it takes intentional awareness and it takes making some choices. Okay, that's control you have in your life. All right, so let's get rolling here. All right. So with our first question, how do you manage your own stress? So that's you. How do you manage your own stress? Okay. So in the past, things like bubble baths, going for walks, talking to friends, sports, things like that have probably been helpful. At this point, that's probably not enough. The level of stress that everybody's experiencing now is so high that our regular stuff is just like getting us here. We need a little bit more something here. Okay. You're being asked to do very unrealistic things. So acknowledge that it is unrealistic. Acknowledge the reality of the beast that you're up against, okay? So that's our big picture idea number one, radical acceptance, okay? Accepting what the situation is, accepting the measures that we have to take these days, accepting the limitations of our control. Okay? That doesn't mean saying that this is okay, this is good. No, no. This is saying that we're going to stop trying to push against it. We're going to stop trying to wish it away. Yes, pray, please pray that this goes away. And accept that this is the way it is right now. We're not going to bury our heads in the sand. We're not going to deny it. That does not make it go away. Instead, acknowledging it and accepting it for what it is helps us then stop, like I said, pushing against it. It helps us. So it's kind of like dropping a rope when you're playing tug of war, with your dog, with your kid. You can drop the rope. You can decide to stop fighting it. You can say, okay, this crazy thing is really happening. For a lot of us, that happened around March. And we're getting into the second big slog of this. Call it whatever you want to, but this is nowhere we predicted to be. Again, predictability, not here. Okay. So accepting the reality of where we are. We're still in the pandemic. We still are struggling with how to do daily life in the middle of all of this. Okay. Once we accept it, then that opens the door to problem solving. Okay. It's hard to open those doors to problem solving and really engage in problem solving until we accept where we are. We accept what we're going through. When we accept, we process through those emotions, the grief, the sadness, the loss, and we move forward. We say, okay, now what are we going to do about it? Okay. That's where we start taking back control in the ways that we can. Okay. So that's big picture idea number 1 about how to manage your stress. Acceptance, radical acceptance that then opens the doors to problem solving. It's not easy. Oh no, it's not easy. But it is necessary. Okay. Big picture idea number 2 for managing your own stress. God is enough for everything that we're going through right now. He will get us through. Don't forget your faith right now. I talked about stress impacts us spiritually as well. It distracts us. It pulls us into the everyday. It pulls us into the big picture fears that we have. Okay. And this is where we need to come back and recenter and say, God is bigger than all of this. God is bigger than the pandemic. God is bigger than 2020. God is bigger than the world. Okay. He created us. He created the world. He's got this. He's already defeated it. It's already done. We're just rolling through it. Okay. And doing our best to love each other along the way. Okay. So those are 2 big picture ideas for you for when you find yourself stressed, to kind of mentally recenter, mentally kind of regroup and say, okay, this is what's happening. I'm going to accept it, feel the feelings, feel the grief, feel the sadness, feel the loss, and then move into problem solving, while also knowing that God is enough. He's going to support us in that. He's there with us in that. He's bigger than all of this. We're going to be okay. Like I said, he's already defeated all of this. Okay. So let's move into practical tips for you for managing your stress. Okay. So yes, bubble baths, going for walks, wine in moderation. All of these things are wonderful, and they're not sufficient. They're necessary, but not sufficient. Keep doing them. Do them as much as you can feasibly. Please. I don't know how much time you have for these things, but when you can, do them. And know that, like I said, it's going to take more. That if you're feeling frustrated, that, hey, reading my book, talking to my friend, working on, whatever it is. If you're working on an old car, working on whatever it is, fixing up the house, whatever those usual things are that you do to get your stress out. Don't be surprised if it's not enough, if it doesn't meet the demand of these times. Okay, so practically, we're going to pull in a couple more things, and hopefully this will help give you a little bit more wiggle room to bring that stress level down. Okay, The first one, so this is Houston. A lot of you are going to know this from working in plants and stuff like that. Morning meetings. Hey, what I mean by that is having a check-in. So if you've got a parenting partner, if you've got a spouse, if you've got a parent, if you've got a sibling, if there's other people in your house, talk to them at the beginning of the day. This can include your kids too, depending on where they are developmentally. But the point of this is to get on the same page. Everything is wonky. Everything is sideways right now. We can't predict how people are feeling or what's going on any given day. So take a few minutes, check in with each other. Say, what do you have going on today? And share. If there's anything on your mind, share. You don't have to carry things on your own. The more that things go unsaid, the more that miscommunication happens, the more that miscoordination happens, where you have something going on and you forgot to tell your partner about it, and then it kind of creates a problem. Let's minimize that, okay? So a morning meeting is a great way to do that, a morning check-in. And like I said, the more you can incorporate your kids in that and hear what they're doing, and really honor and respect, that they've got stuff going on too. Let's do that. The other great thing about that is that in that meeting, I want you to also ask for support and encourage one another. Okay? What do you have going on? And what can I do to support you? So maybe I can't, do your math problems for you, but, I can check in with you and see how you're doing between my meetings, right? Whatever it is that you can do to support your family members. Okay? Have everybody encourage a culture where everybody does that for each other, right? That sounds very idealistic, Pollyanna-ish, but it's more feasible than you think it is. And so just start off checking in, what do you have going on, and try to encourage each other as much as possible. I'll add to that challenge. If you can circle back throughout the day and at the end of the day, it kind of starts an ongoing conversation that keeps you connected to each other throughout the day. Okay. So check in, offer encouragement, say, hey, how'd this go? Anything I can do to help you with that if you've got 2 seconds and this much energy. And then at the end of the day, if you can, again, this is, double gold star. Check back at the end of the day and celebrate surviving it together. Okay. As partners, as parents, as a whole family, know that this is hard and every day is a gift to celebrate and just getting through it. Okay. I joked about gold stars, but I want to make clear that you can't win at pandemic life. There's no real gold stars here. It's just about surviving and getting through as best we can. Okay. You're not going to get it perfect. You're not going to get it right. But the best you can do is keep doing the best you can and stay connected to your family. So check-ins, morning meetings. Okay. The other thing, something that I talk about with clients pretty regularly in my practice, are the kind of dual strategies of opposite action and distress tolerance. Okay, I'm going to talk about those. I kind of clump them together though. So this is kind of practical tip number 2, therapy-y things. Okay, so opposite action, that's a skill in which you do the opposite of what you are tempted to do in a stressful situation. And when that thing that you're tempted to do is going to create more problems. Okay. So that's stuff like giving your partner the silent treatment when you're mad at them. That's stuff like yelling at your kid. Okay. So doing the opposite is going to be helpful in those situations. Talking to your partner, singing to your kid when you want to scream at him, or telling him how much you love him and all the different things you love about him. So for example, at the end of a long, stressful day for me, after seeing clients online like this all day, it's better than it sounds. My little kiddo might be wiggling like a stuck pig and not want me to put a new diaper on him. and I kind of want to scream sometimes. And so instead, true story, something that happens regularly, not regularly, okay, just sometimes. Sometimes I get that frustrated and that tired and that stressed. Everybody does. I'm like you, okay? Instead, telling him how much I love him, I think I sang a song, might have been Taylor Swift. And, just rub lotion on his legs, little baby massage. Okay, so that's the opposite, but it took taking a moment to check myself and then do that opposite action. Okay, opposite action. The other one is just as self-explanatory, distress tolerance. Okay, tolerating distress. Yay! This is something you probably got really good at in like March and April, but now it's like August, September. And you've tolerated a lot already. Distress tolerance can look like distractions of all kinds. That's the whole baking bread stuff. That's the stuff that just passes time. Or, nice new hobby, that kind of stuff. Helps you tolerate the distress. It's not making the distress go away, but it's giving you a little break from it, okay? So yeah, the days of baking bread, doing puzzles are probably over. We are just kind of laying in a puddle on the floor now. But sometimes just those words can help us refocus and remind us just of the basic task in front of us sometimes is just tolerate the distress. Especially if we can't control it, can't make it go away. We can tolerate it though, okay? We can have grace for ourselves. We can say, okay, it's okay. We can have compassion. We can say, I can tolerate this. Like I said before, you don't have to win at it. You just have to tolerate it. Okay? Opposite action, distress tolerance. That is practical tip number 2 for parents. Okay? I know there's more. I know I could talk on and on about different things to help people manage stress, especially kind of in the parenting context. And there's a lot out there. If you want further resources, I'll say this at the end. But again, for parents who are going to be going in and out of this, because it's a recording and you're parents, so you're going to need to probably stop this and go attend to something and then come back. If you need anything else, my email address is contact@ashleysanfordphd.com. That's contact@ashleysanfordphd.com. My website, ashleysanfordphd.com, has a few things too. Okay, so second question, kids. Yeah, your kids are stressed. You know it. You feel it. You can feel the tension in the house. Okay. So same thing here. Got some big picture ideas, 2 of those, and some practical tips, 2 of those. Okay. Simple today. Okay. So big picture ideas. Number 1, creating safety and to the extent that you can, predictability for them, right? So part of your job as a parent is creating this safe little bubble where they live. You protect them from things. That's your job as a parent. And so giving them that sense of assurance, that sense of safety, you already know this, you've already been doing this. But so we're stating the obvious here and building on that. So modeling that attitude that we're doing everything we can. We're taking reasonable measures. We're confident that even with those reasonable measures, if something happens, we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. You might pull some spirituality into this. So trusting God with this. We might not know what's going to happen, but we're fully confident in God. We're fully confident that He's with us, that He's already, like we talked about before, He's already defeated this. We're safe. We're okay. Even if we do lose someone to COVID, one of our loved ones, we know where they're going. We know Jesus has got them, and we're going to be okay, and they're going to be okay. Give them that sense of safety, security. Give them routines. I know. They don't want to do it. You don't want to do it either. As you know, though, it's one of those things, once you start it, it gets easier. Okay? Safety, predictability. routines. Incorporate them, like I said, in those family meetings. Have some rituals. A friend of mine told me a while back that they have different nights of the week. I think Friday's pizza night. Sunday is joke night. Try that out. Joke night. Rituals. I like them. Okay, so that was big picture idea number 1. Create safety and predictability as best you can within your bubble in your home. Give them that. Okay. And 2, stay connected to them. Okay. They're not as connected to their friends right now, and those are the people that they usually talk to. Those are the people that really listen to them and know what's going on for them. Okay, that's elementary school through high school students. Okay, especially high school students. And you're burnout, and they're gonna say they're fine. Don't talk to me. I don't want to talk to you. They're not fine. You're not fine. That's okay. Stay connected. Talk about it. Sit with them. Don't be their friend, but be their companion. Okay? So the difference there is that you would be their ear. You would be, as you are, their biggest cheerleader. State the obvious again. But be their companion who encourages, supports them, and expresses confidence in their independence and their ability to handle what's on their plate right now. Okay? So allow them to have that sense that you have that belief in their self-efficacy, their ability to say, okay, I don't want to do online school, but we're going to do the best we can. Okay? Listen to them. Okay, this is going to come up more in these practical tips, but the big ideas here, safety and predictability, and stay connected to them. They're missing out on those connections. You don't need to be their friend, but be their companion. Sit with them, listen to them. They need somebody to listen to them. Be there. I know you're burned out. Do it anyway. It's going to save you so much in the big picture and in the long run. Okay, they need you. Practical tips. Yay! Fast forward to this part. Just kidding. Don't. Watch it all. Okay. So one of the things that I love working on with parents is, whether it's pandemic stuff or whether it's a kid with just anger issues. So if you've got like a 10-year-old who's not reacting well to getting his way, one way to work through that is to help give them other ways to communicate what's going on for them. So they're acting out, they're doing all kinds of things because it's hard to talk about it. They don't have the language and they might not feel comfortable talking about it, being vulnerable, right? So take the initiative as the parent, as the leader, initiate conversations about emotions. You don't have to be a therapist to do it, and do it in age-appropriate ways. So for a younger kid, say like a 4-year-old, when do you feel happy today? When did you feel happy today? At the end of the day, going for a walk with them, having a conversation, going for a drive with your son, 6-year-old son in the car, saying, hey, did you feel angry today? Did you have any anger today? So not making feelings these big, overwhelming, scary things, but making them approachable, making them things that provide information and help them understand what they're going through a little bit better. Okay? And don't be afraid of those harder emotions to talk about, like loneliness. So you might say, what can you do if you feel lonely today when you're, going for a walk? I was going to say driving to school, but that's might not be happening right now. Anyway, but don't avoid those harder emotions, especially with the older kids. What can you do if you feel lonely today? With kids who aren't going to be as apt to open up and talk about that stuff, what was your high and low from today? Get them to talk about high point, low point, complete sentences, if they will. And most importantly, make it a regular thing. Make it part of the norm within your family. Okay. Second, validate their emotions and support with problem solving and empathy. Okay. Practical tip number 2, validate their emotions and support them with problem solving and empathy. Okay. How you do this obviously depends on the developmental stage of the child. And usually they're feeling multiple feelings at once, even younger kids. They got all kinds of feelings bouncing around in them. Okay. So give him all the emotion words you can. Feelingswheel.com has a great example of a feelings wheel. Gives lots of feeling words. Wonderful place to start. Demonstrate that yourself. Don't use words like upset. Try not to say that you're stressed. Try to say the other things that describe that, because stress can be a lot of things. You can say, I'm fatigued, I'm disappointed, um, I'm hungry, I'm longing for connection, all that fun stuff. Be real a little bit. Show them it's okay to have emotions and talk about kind of the dimensionality of emotions so that they can have more language around that. Okay. Show them that it's okay to have emotions and that we can use that. Then we can do something about it. We don't have to feel controlled by our feelings. We can think about, what can I do with that? Mr. Rogers is one of my favorites. Mr. Rogers is my homeboy. And one of the things he says is, what do you do with the mad that you feel? So you could ask your kids with whatever feeling it is, especially for the younger kids, and there are different ways to say this for older kids. But what can you do with the mad that you feel? What can you do with the loneliness that you feel? What can you do about that? That's saying, yes, it's there. Let's use that. We're not going to make it go away. We're not going to minimize it. We're going to say, okay, maybe we can just talk about it. Maybe that'll help. Maybe we can make something for a friend and drop it off at their house. Anything like that, okay? So those specific examples, if you need more specifics on any of this kind of stuff, feel free to email me or Google. Like I said, a lot of stuff is out there right now. This is a very popular topic because, like I said, everyone is stressed. There is no parent that is immune to stress for all of the reasons that we talked about. So just to recap real quick, and I'll have an outline on my website, ashleysanfordphd.com, and I'll send it to Courtney as well. We went through 2 questions related to your stress and your kids' stress and talked about big picture ideas and practical tips for each of them. So again, for your stress, big picture, acceptance, radical acceptance, and spirituality, so centering on knowing that God is enough. God's bigger than the pandemic. He's defeated all this. 2 practical tips for you adults: check-ins / morning meetings. Know what's going on. Don't let unnecessary problems, miscommunications, miscoordinations crop up. Second practical tip: opposite action and distress tolerance, those therapy things. Okay? So opposite action, do the opposite of the thing that if you did it, it would make things a whole lot worse. Do the opposite. Even if you're not feeling it, give it the best you got. Okay? This is the fake it till you make it kind of stuff. Okay? It's not going to hurt you. Push through it. It's okay. You're a parent. You've done this many times before. Okay? And distress tolerance. This is what you did at the beginning of the pandemic, but it's a helpful way to think about it. So these words, this language can just capture it for you. Opposite action, distress tolerance. Just, you got to tolerate it. You got to get through it. Okay? And second part, just to reiterate, helping your kids manage it. Okay? Big picture, create safety and predictability and stay connected to them. And practically, daily emotional conversations, and wherever and whenever possible, validate their emotions. Problem solving, empathy, all that good stuff. Okay? So specifically that, like I talked about, the Mr. Rogers, what do you do with the mad that you feel? Okay? So I wish we could have done a conversation, a chat. I miss hearing about how y'all are doing. I miss seeing your wonderful faces. I hope that we can do that again sometime in the future. We're looking forward to it. We're having faith that that is going to happen. I hope today was helpful for you. And this is something, like we talked about, that you can come back to. And like I said, feel free to ask me any follow-up questions you need to, clarification, or if you're like, I did this and it didn't work out very well, let me know what happened. Let's email through it. Okay. And email is the best way to get in touch with me. My email is contact@ashleysanford.phd.com. Again, that's contact@ashleysanford. All right. Hang in there, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.